I told you yesterday that I use this every day in my life. When my girlfriend and I can't decide what we want to go out and eat for dinner, when we're shopping for something ourselves, you can use this every day. Page 96, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about what 4-part questioning is, what it's doing for us, and how we're going to use this in our profession. So first of all, what are the 3 ways that we've learned before to handle the objection? Step 1 is permission to say no. Well, you know what? With 4-part questioning, it's the same thing. Step 1 is permission to say no. This here is something that we're going to hear 100 times today. You're going to say it every time because it's consistent and it gets the message across. If you feel uncomfortable with what we're discussing here today, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. Well, that's a load off my throat. Think about how that sounds to a client. You know, Ty, if you're uncomfortable with what we're discussing here today, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. That is just taking all the pressure off that client right now. So they felt that pressure on their chest or that sales pressure, just simply by saying this, puts them a little bit more at ease. Because remember, we want to get their defenses down so we can uncover what's going on and uncover that hidden objection. You've got to be a consultant at this point. You know, if you try to be a salesperson, it's not going to work. You're here to consult. And don't ever say, you know what, I understand how you feel. Because let's face it, you don't. Brandon, you have no idea about Ty's background or life. Ty, you don't know what's going on in Brandon's life. So don't say you know how they feel. So step 1, permission to say no. When we handled objections before, what was step 2, Brandon?
New information based on the customer perspective.
Okay. New information based on the customer's perspective. Well, with 4-part questioning, it's the same thing. We want to understand their thought pattern. We want to start understanding what the customer is thinking. So again, we're getting their defenses down by giving them the permission to say no. Here, we're just simply saying, you know, Ty, so I can better understand from your perspective when you said the first and second line is something you're going to put to memory again. We're going to hear it hundreds of times. You know, Joe, of course, if you're unhappy with what we discussed here today, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. But when you say X, I'd like to know from your perspective. What's step 3? We want to provide 2 solutions for that customer. Why are we doing this? Well, first of all, by providing them solutions, we might have already hit on what that hidden objection is. But by providing solutions, if we haven't, it's human nature for them to tell us what's going on. People want to be honest with you. So let's talk about this. Is it because of X or maybe Y? You know, you got to have a good tone here. We're not animated. We're not being loud. This is more soft-spoken. You also want to show that you can think of a few reasons that might help explain. I need that clarification. And if you can't think of 2 solutions, 1 will still work. So again, Ty, if you're unhappy with what we're discussing here today, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. But so I can understand, Joe, from your perspective, when you say that price is too high, Ryan, is it because you see the price lower somewhere else? Does it take you outside of a budget you set for yourself? And now step number 4, bringing him back into the conversation by starting with an open-ended question. Or is it possibly something else? This is the key to 4-part questioning. Okay? Because if we haven't hit on the hidden objection here, you know, Ty, or is it something else? They're gonna tell you that answer right then. Yeah, I saw it priced less at another dealership. Or you know what, I saw it online for this much. Or, you know, if it comes to the trade value, oh, the other dealership offered me more money. My neighbor offered me more money for it. So by offering a suggestion, if we're not right, they're gonna tell us all about it. So let's go through this, and we're gonna practice this over and over. So the first one is, hey, that payment is way too high. The way I want us to work this, just in the beginning, I want you just to read it out loud so you can get used to these words that we want you to memorize. Ty, start with the first one. You know, Ty, that payment is way too high.
If you feel uncomfortable with what we are discussing here, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward.
Continue.
But just so I can better understand from your perspective, when you say that payment is way too high, is it because it takes you outside of your budget you have set for yourself, or is it because that is all you think that vehicle is worth, or was it possibly something else?
Possibly something else. Great job. Again, this is a lot of memorization right now. And notice as we go through these, the first, second, and fourth part are always the same. It's just really coming up with the two solutions that you need to give them. So let's do number 2, Brandon. Hey, the price is too much for that car.
If you feel uncomfortable with what we were discussing here, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward.
Permission to say no.
But just say so, just so I can better understand from your perspective. When you say that the price is too much for that car,
New information based on your perspective.
is it because it takes you outside of your budget you had set for your vehicle? Or you had set for yourself? Or is it because you think that's all that this vehicle is worth?
2 suggestions.
Or is it possibly something else?
Ending up with an open-ended question, getting him back into the conversation. Notice that we use budget a lot, you know, because a lot of time it is the budget they set for themselves. Remember also yesterday we talked about value and budget? Brandon, whose problem is a budget problem?
Customer.
Customers. They're the ones who have the financial problem, or they're setting their own limit. Whose problem, Ryan, is a value problem? That's right. We didn't do a good job building value in that product. Bryce, let's do number 3, okay? Hey, you know, Bryce, I won't pay $1,500 to have leather.
If you feel uncomfortable with what we're discussing here, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward, but just so I can understand from your perspective, when you said that you won't pay $1,500 to add leather, it's because it takes you outside of your budget. Yeah, except for yourself, was it because you don't think the leather is worth $1,500, or is it possibly something else?
What are the other reasons why someone might not want to put leather for $1,500? First of all, is this a budget or value problem right now?
Can't tell.
You really can't tell. It's the $1,500 again. Is it putting them outside the budget? Or is it that they don't see value in the leather? Let's say, you know, why wouldn't someone else want leather? What are some of the other reasons? What? Very true. Vegetarian, vegan, they don't want a leather interior.
It's hotter.
Black leather, summer, North Carolina, shh, yeah, that hurts. So you can think of other reasons as well. And again, if you can't get 2 suggestions, 1 will be fine. Okay, Joe, you're up. Hey, I want another $1,000 for my trade-in. Because everyone thinks their trade is worth more money.
If you feel uncomfortable with what we were discussing, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. But just so I can better understand from your perspective, when you say you want another $1,000 for your trade, is it because it takes you outside of the budget you had set for yourself? Or is it because someone else offered you that for your trade? Or was it possibly something else?
Well, you know, my neighbor offered me more money for the trade. Again, we're trying to get that hidden objection. We're bringing down the customer's defenses, and we're opening up and trying to find out what their thinking is from their perspective. Brian, you know what? I'll buy it if you discounted another $1,000.
If you feel uncomfortable with what we're discussing here, just so I can better understand from your perspective. When you say you'll buy it at a discount for another 1,000, is it because it takes you outside of your budget you had set for yourself? Or is it because that's all you think the vehicle's worth? Or is it possibly something else?
Could be something else. So let's talk about four-part questioning one more time. We're going to do this. You know what? I don't want to buy it today. I still have to think about it. Well, Joe, again, if you feel uncomfortable with what we're discussing here, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. But so I can understand from your perspective, when you say you don't want to buy it today, is it because you're not happy with the vehicle we selected? Or you're not satisfied with the figures that I presented to you? Or is it possibly something else? You don't want to sound canned. You don't want to sound scripted. I don't want to buy it today. If you feel uncomfortable with what we are discussing here today, I mean, how does that make you sound? Okay? It's got to be natural. You got to learn it so it sounds like it's coming from you. And remember, you can add your own little flair to it. You've got the relationship with the customer. You're starting to bond and become friendly. You know some of the things that you can say and not say to this person. But these are the guidelines we want you to follow. So let's talk about summary, okay? Remember yesterday we talked about what they want and why they want it? So remember, what is a position? A position is what they want. And the interest is, and what are we concerned with? Why they want it, not what they want. We're going to use four-part questioning to identify their interests. And then, if you can't or don't want to satisfy their interest, you got to have an alternative. And it doesn't have to be a great alternative. Remember, yesterday, my cleanest dirty shirt from the laundry? It's not the best thing in the world, but it's still an alternative. And don't assume the client isn't going to go for the alternative. Maybe you wouldn't, but to him it's still a great idea. You only have to be an option. It doesn't have to always be the best option. It just has to be a good option for us. And remember, think about it. Are we having a problem with budget? Or are we having a problem with value? The budget problem is the client's. And we can help them with that. We can extend terms. We can try to get them to put more money down. We can play with the price and the rates. The value is our problem. We didn't do a good job putting value in the product they're looking for. Be it the car itself, be it the resistol chemical, or even the all-weather floor mats. We didn't do a good job building value. And you'll be a more effective closer when you become a better questioner and a better listener. So right now, what we're going to do is break down into some groups. And we're going to go through the four-part questioning with different scenarios. So let's talk about scenario one, okay? And we've never heard this ever before, so I know this is going to be new. The price is too high, okay? So Ty and Brandon, why don't you two work together? Bryce and Ryan and Joe, why don't you three work together, okay? And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to pretend that this is a real world situation. You're meeting with your client, okay? They're telling you the price is too high. So we're going to use the four-part questioning to get their defenses down and to uncover that hidden objection. And then, this is real world. So if someone says to you, hey, that's not a good trade value, what would you do normally? Look it up on KBB. Tell me how you would handle that situation with that client. Let's really think that this is a sales technique. So Ty and Brandon, you guys get together over here. You three, let's work over here together. And we're going to go through this first scenario. Again, the price is too high. We want to use that four-part questioning to uncover it. And the customer is finally going to tell you that he got a lower quote from another dealer, okay? So I'm gonna do this one right now with Joe in front of everyone, and then we'll break up so you can go through this. So Joe, you're the customer. I want you to say that price is too high, and then after we do the 4-part questioning, come back with me as you got another lower quote from another dealer. So Joe, if you're unhappy with what we're discussing here today, I certainly wouldn't expect you to move forward. But when you say to me that the price is too high, is it because you don't see the value in the vehicle? Does it take you outside of a budget you've set for yourself? Or is it possibly something else, Joe?
I actually had seen a lower offer at a different dealership.
Okay, so he's just uncovered that hidden objection. He's told me he's found a lower price at another dealership. So Ty, in the real world, what would you do right now?
Well, if you found a lower price at that dealership, I will ask if we can possibly provide that information.
Okay, so you want to gather as much information as you can. Joe, what dealership was that?
It's actually a Honda South Point.
Honda at South Point. And Joe, are we going to want to make sure it's on the same vehicle? Was it a Honda Accord EX like I'm showing you here? If he might say no, it was on the lower model. Well, that's what that price difference is. But let's say he says it's on the same model. Dive into it a little bit more. Joe, what we do here, we'll try to do whatever I can to make you happy. Maybe talk about additional discounts he might qualify for. Is he a new college graduate? Is he part of the military? Is he a first responder? Maybe the car that you're selling has loyalty money on it. Are you a past Honda owner? Maybe it has a competitor's offer money on it. If you don't own a Honda and own a Nissan and come to Honda, we'll give you money. So there's lots of options that we can do here. So really what you're going to do in the real world is gather as much information from Joe as you can get about